cancer. So he was a gentleman who had a cancer, and this is an HPV positive cancer of the oropharynx, and we're going through an evolution in terms of care at this point where they're really getting separated out as a very favorable cancer to have to some extent. And he had a very good prognosis with treatment with radiation and chemotherapy. It really stands out in my mind because usually when I talk about toxicities of radiation, I talk about things including loss of taste. I've never seen someone take that toxicity so hard, and it was because he was French, and that really hit him very personally in terms of not being able to taste things for a while. He did really well during treatment. Tumor shrank away. He was doing great. His taste was actually starting to come back a couple months afterwards, but he started to tell me he had a little bit of pain in his mouth, and the first word that came to my mind was a 4-letter word, and my staff has asked me not to include these words in my official remarks today. We got the scans, and it was coming back. It wasn't just coming back in his mouth, it was coming back everywhere. It was in the lungs, it was in the bones. It was really the fastest I've ever seen someone with this tumor really kind of rush up like this. And I called Pam in Dr. LaPera in a half panic and said, please, can you see this guy today? So this was right around the time that immunotherapy was starting to get approved for head and neck cancer. We really didn't have patients that were on immunotherapy all that much previously for this particular disease. And the numbers that were going through my head were the usual prognoses, depending on the study you look at, 6 months on average, 12 months on average in terms of how long people are going to live. So as of the scans a few months ago, I hate to use the word cancer-free, but he's cancer-free. It's been 3 years. He's been sailing around the world. His taste has come back as far as, he tells me at least. And it's just remarkable for us. We get jealous sometimes in radiation and surgical oncology, I think, because when we have advances in our care, in a lot of ways they're evolutions, where it's an evolution in surgery, it's an evolution in radiation. But medical oncology is really participating in revolutions of care with things like immunotherapy, with targeted agents. So we're just happy to be a part of the team.
So last, surgical oncology. I see some of the residents here and students, and residents always ask, why surgical oncology? What is surgical oncology? And as many of us know, I didn't realize that until fellowship. We were always taught as a surgeon that, we fix things. We have a finite problem, this is what you do. And what did I learn in fellowship? Well, probably more than anything else, and we knew how to operate and take care of patients, is the role of the multidisciplinary team. I knew nothing, I had no appreciation, as most of us didn't, of oncology, of radiation, of pathology, of radiology, all the other fields. And I think surgeons pick on us oftentimes, that they think, and I said this morning, that we're oncologists first and surgeons second. And I think that's right. I think we are. So I'll go back to a patient of mine a few years ago, and this is kind of both, because with us, it's all three of us. And so it's a 22-year-old gentleman, senior in college, just gotten into medical school, engaged, who presented with nausea, vomiting, obstruction type symptoms and this large abdominal mass. So he gets a CAT scan and an MRI, and he shows this large mass taking up the entire right upper quadrant. And they consult me and say, you need to do this or take this. He's 22. And I look at this, and there's no way that, this involved his liver, his cava, his aorta, his pancreas, things that I don't know what to do. His parents come up to me and say, he's 22. Gotta do something. were supposed to cure. Oh, sorry. And so looked at my medical oncology and radiation oncologist and said, I need help. And I'm not used to, I need some help. We biopsied it, it's a high-grade sarcoma. And, my job, I put a port in. That was my surgical role so far. Got chemotherapy on TPN in the hospital, got radiation, came back about 9 months later and followed up and said, now what? And I said, tremendous response. Unfortunately, this doesn't always happen. And I said, sure, let's see it. And it shrunk significantly, went to the operating room, took that out, just involved part of what we call the IVC of the vena cava. And then, he did fine. And then the final part, the pathology, complete pathologic response. So in this case, we're the ones that are supposed to cure, or so we're told. But, we were I was the mop-up crew as surgeons, and because of the multidisciplinary care, they got married, graduated. Thank you.
Wow, what a beautiful day. And a number of people will remember when we were trying to engage our communities to support this important work that you just heard about. I told people about the time or times that I distinctly remember in my life, the 5 times when I got the call or I was with my wife and I was told that one of our family had cancer. And I remember the time when I was told that my 2-year-old daughter had cancer. And I reflect on that a lot in my life and in my career, and how profoundly challenging that is for a human being. And I always reflected about that if it affected me that way, a physician, CEO, all the privilege you can imagine, and how scary and difficult it was, how was it for other people? And I reflected on how hard it was for me as a professor to navigate care for my loved one in those times. And I remember understanding the essence of the beauty of what I saw that drove excellence in the care that we received and my family members received. And the essence of that was collaboration and understanding that what we just heard, that it's not just one discipline, that it never is just one of us. It takes a team and it takes a group of people coming together to have the profound impact that we just heard and the emotion that it goes with it. And so I've been thinking about that as coming into today, and then I just find it so unbelievably ironic and beautiful to hear the comments of the artist and his son's reading. And I don't know if it was caught by other folks, but the entree to art was created by cancer. He was asked to build something to recognize a loved one that lost the battle. And the profound change that that event had in him and his life and his journey is really unbelievable to me, and it's profound. And with those thoughts, I just want to thank y'all on understanding really what excellence is and what it takes to make it happen, because it's collaboration. And it's collaboration that we just heard between disciplines, scientific disciplines, and not letting, frankly, our arcane academic hierarchical structures dictate how we take care of patients. So I want to thank you all for understanding that it takes multidisciplinary care from a medical perspective. But also I want to thank the folks that are here that represent the other things that it takes to make care happen and be excellence, which is around collaboration. Collaboration around building a system of care for a population that's overburdened with this unbelievable, scary disease called cancer and the impacts it has on their families. And so the collaboration across a geography the size of Maryland to extend our capabilities to communities that really are feeling that burden significantly and need to be reached out to. And also collaborations between the other folks that it takes to provide holistic care. How this garden represents that. And we have so many services that y'all are able to bring to our families and their patients as they face cancer. So I want to thank all of y'all for that. The last time I said all y'all in public was actually at the ribbon cutting. I just reflected on that. I got a lot of trash for saying that. My friends loved the fact that I said that. But collaboration's hard. It's hard to collaborate across geography and time. It's hard to collaborate across academic departments and disciplines or organizational structures. But it's vital to excellence. And I can tell you, I have a lot of conversations with people outside of Eastern North Carolina, and they often talk in a really pretty derogatory way about us. And I'm not from here. I've only been here 4 years. But I always correct them. I see a different thing here. And that thing, to me, is a really beautiful thing. And actually is a higher order intelligence, and it's around love and compassion and collaboration, because that's how excellence is built. And I really appreciate all of the professionals here that do that every day to make sure we do the right thing for our people in Eastern North Carolina. So thank you, and thank you, Manny, for your leadership in making that happen. And I've seen the sculpture and the essence of the artist's rendition of bringing that collaborative spirit to life is so impactful, and I just want to thank you and the artist and everyone that made that happen. Thank you very much.
So I guess that concludes our program. This will be a day that I will never forget. I'd like to ask you to reflect on what you've heard today after you get home, and try and remember those things when you happen by the sculpture in your day-to-day activities, or when you see one of these pins. Try to remember the reasons we're here and how it works when we work together. So thank you. I think we have a bus going back to Monroe, and we'll resume the retreat promptly at 1 o'clock. Thank you all.
Get that. Are you coming back? Okay, good.